Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have Karen Ho on the line, and she's CEO and founder over at Lumina Bioconsulting. Karen, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Adam. I'm so glad to be here.
All right. Well, we're glad to have you. And for everybody listening, just so you know, this particular interview is part of our Milken Global Conference coverage series where we bring you the best of attendees, panelists, speakers, VIPs, and all of the above from the Milken Global Conference in Beverly Hills, California. And Karen, correct me if I'm off on this, you attended the conference this year. Is that correct?
Yes, I was such a lucky person to be invited by Dr. Kara Altimus and Caitlin Barrett of the Milken Institute to attend the Milken Global Conference. It was my first time.
Ooh, a newbie. I love it. I love a first time. So I know based on your background, you've been to many, many conferences. First time at I like to say the big show, the Super Bowl. No. How was the experience?
It was breathtaking and everything that you could possibly imagine with 4,000 attendees. All of us gathered together to discuss some of the most urgent challenges and the most exciting opportunities for investing our missions in, for investing our time and interests and passions in. So it was quite inspiring.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to me because now I'm going on 4 years in now, somewhere along those lines, and really a community kind of builds up over time, and you get to see some of the same people, and everybody's busy. Everybody's got a lot of different things and projects and things they're working on. So this becomes a time when you get to kind of like take pause for a moment. So hope to see you in some future years there as well.
Yes, absolutely.
But let's switch it up a bit here. Lumina Bioconsulting, maybe start off by telling us a little bit more about your firm.
Sure. So I started Lumina Bioconsulting this past year, in fact. My background is in pharmaceutical development, where I was vice president of translational medicine at a publicly traded company, Clean Nanomedicine. And I shifted my focus because I joined the pharmaceutical world in order to understand how drugs were developed for pediatric rare diseases, which is really where my personal mission lies. And so I wanted to be able to have the flexibility to consult and use my scientific knowledge, not only from the pharmaceutical world, but from basic science, to help advocacy groups develop strategies for developing therapies and drugs for their pediatric rare diseases. And so I work very closely with two pediatric rare disease organizations. One is called the R Foundation, that's ARRE, and it stands for ASXL, Rare Research Endowment. And I also work for another organization called Families SCN2A, and that foundation is centered upon the gene SCN2A, which is the sodium channel gene in the brain.
How did you know, and also when? Like, was it a moment? Was it a progression? Like, when did you know that you were going to focus on pediatric rare diseases?
Well, I've always loved children, but the personal incident that basically drove me to this point was the fact that both of my boys, my children, were born prematurely. And that is because I had an undiagnosed predisposition to preeclampsia, which is a heightened blood pressure that rises suddenly during pregnancy and can cause premature birth. Both of my boys were born premature under some life-threatening circumstances, both to me and a child. And sitting there by the NICU incubator for both of my children, thinking, gosh, Karen, you've spent your entire life studying and loving everything about biology, and yet here you are knowing very little about human biology, and you can't help your own babies. What if you were to devote some of that scientific knowledge toward understanding pediatric conditions and give back to medical science what they gave to me? But basically, medical science saved both my babies.
Wow.
And I want to give back now using the scientific skills that I had been building up before they were even born. So that was basically when I decided I needed to learn more about human biology and more about using that science to help improve kids' lives.
Oh, wow. What an amazing story. Thank you for sharing that. Circling back briefly to the conference here, what were some takeaways from that in the sense of the pediatric rare disease research and just treatment developments? Because I didn't catch your panel, or that particular talk. So talk to me about some of the takeaways.
Yeah. So what brought me to the Milken Conference, of course, was my interest in pediatric rare disease. And it turned out that Kara Altimus and Caitlin Barrett put together some special sessions specifically devoted to pediatric rare disease. And the reason is this, that pediatric rare diseases represent both the urgent challenge and the exciting opportunities that were the theme of the Milken Conference. Pediatric rare diseases there are about 7,000 rare diseases that are known throughout the world.
Wow.
Only 10% of them have treatments or cures. So there is a dire need to address these rare diseases. Now, you might be thinking, Adam, well, rare diseases only affect a small portion of our population. But it turns out if you add up all of the people that are affected with these 7,000 rare diseases, you get a statistic that says that 1 in 10 people throughout the world are affected by a rare disease. So collectively, this is a significant health problem. Not only that, but 30% of children with rare diseases don't survive beyond the age of 5. That is today. So what is exciting, however, about being in this field right now is that there are technologies and innovations being developed every day that affect how we treat children with rare diseases. And in fact, there have been stunning examples, 3 of which I can talk about right now, that actually have emerged since the Milken Conference ended. And as you know, that was only 3 months ago.
Yeah.
So basically, for example, baby KJ, he made the New York Times because this baby was born with a rare monogenetic disorder, that is one base change in his DNA sequence of 6 billion pairs were different. And they were able to, as soon as he was born, figure out something was wrong, genetically sequence him, figure out the one base pair change in his 6 billion nucleotide changes, and then Fyodor Urnov, in collaboration with Jennifer Doudna, the Nobel Prize winner who discovered CRISPR editing techniques at Berkeley, collaborated with Danaher, a manufacturing firm for genetic therapies, collaborated with the baby's medical doctors at Philadelphia Children's Hospital, or CHOP, and all together in the space of 6 months were able to put together a bespoke CRISPR editing therapy that changed the wrong DNA letter into the right DNA letter in his liver, so that baby is now thriving.
Wow.
That is what the technology is capable of doing. The challenge is, how do we make that work at scale? How do we help not just one baby, but the thousands and millions of babies out there whose parents are currently now being told, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do, go home and enjoy your baby.
Wow, what an amazing story. And so what do you think? I mean, what do you think could be on the horizon for some of these developments of these? I'm not asking you to have your crystal ball, but maybe kind of.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's hard to say in these particular uncertain times where massive amounts of funding are going to come from. There's some skittishness and hesitancy on the part of the VC community to dive into the genetic therapy investments that are needed because of the high costs involved in manufacturing bespoke drugs for diseases. But I think there is hope on the horizon, and that essentially has come out of the messages that I got from the Milken Conference. And that is, there is regulatory flexibility. There has been leadership change at the FDA, but also this leadership change has also expressed willingness to exhibit flexibility when it comes to life-threatening illnesses, such as those that affect the pediatric rare disease population. There are innovations and technical breakthroughs that are on the verge of being able to reduce manufacturing costs and reduce the amount of time that it takes to make these bespoke drugs. In fact, Fyodor Urnov reported that what took him 6 months for baby KJ is now going to take him 2 months and only $20 million to manufacture a similar batch. I'm sorry, $20,000 to manufacture the similar batch. Yeah. And so that's a remarkable change in the space of months, not years. Wow. And so I have great hope from the takeaway messages that I got from the Milken Institute conference.
That's amazing. And when you think about that, going to $20,000, like what can that mean when, who knows in time what that could be, right? Like
exactly.
As the cost goes down, more individuals are able to benefit. Exactly.
When Francis Collins was in charge of the Human Genome Project, it costed millions of dollars to sequence the human genome. And now it's a couple $100. I could get my genome sequenced today. And it's exciting to know that secret
can we pause for a moment? How amazing is that? Like, and to think about what that could mean for rare diseases in the future.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Wow. Well, Karen, I'll tell you, it's been great having you on the show today, and I'm hopeful. I love the information you gave. I love it. It's very hopeful. I mean, there's a lot of smart people like yourself working on these problems, so I think it's a great thing. That being said, if somebody's listening or watching this and they want to follow up, they want to learn more about Lumina Bioconsulting or connect in general, how do they do that?
There would be 2 great websites that I'd like to send them to, both of which represent rare diseases, but these rare diseases could give us insight into human cancer and into how the brain works. So I will send them to www.rfoundation.org, which is ARRE Foundation, one word, .org, and www.scn2a.org.
Perfect. And just for everybody listening, just so you know, we'll definitely put some links in the show notes so you can just click on them and head right on over. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. Each and every day we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey as well. So again, hit that subscribe or follow button. And Karen, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Adam.